Hi, friends. Welcome back to Live at the Roxy on this Thursday, August 26th. I didn't want to talk about the news today because I didn't want to. And as I always remind you guys, live at the Roxy. So it's the only place that I get to choose when I don't want to do something that actually I'm just not going to fucking do it. And that's something I'm getting better at. Setting boundaries, making choices, and choosing happiness. I woke up today feeling very passionate about something, and I decided that I thought this was a good place to talk a little bit about it. I want to be abundantly clear with everybody. If you guys are a rock star, you already know this about me. If somehow this is the first time you're ever watching this channel, or you don't watch very often and you don't know much about me, I am so clearly not an expert of happiness. I know, I don't know if anybody can be an expert in happiness, but I know there are people who are psychiatrists and psychologists and people who understand the human psyche way more than I do, and who are authorized to give tips and tricks and have conversations. I'm just a person living in this world like you guys are and trying to figure it the fuck out. And I want to talk about happiness today because I'm having an interesting time with it. And I think a lot of you guys are too. And I think that we spend so much time working on finding happiness that we neglect talking about or figuring out how the fuck to keep it. And this has been a little bit of my struggle with my journey. If you guys have been with me for the last several years, you know, in the last couple, I've really struggled with my happiness. I definitely struggle with depression, as many of you guys do. And for people who didn't struggle with depression prior to pandemic, many people found their depression during that. I was recently cast in a movie and went and filmed on location for a couple of weeks. And I found so much joy and happiness there. And when I returned home, I brought that happiness back with me. But now that I've been back for a couple of weeks, I am finding it challenging to stay happy. And I am fighting for it and choosing it and picking it every day. And at first I thought it was finding and holding on to happiness, but holding on sounds like you're holding on to something that you need to let go of, or holding on to dear life. It sounds like such a struggle. So I prefer to think about keeping it. I don't think that you can always be happy, just in the same way that you're not going to always be sad or any emotion. But I think that happiness can be a baseline for a lot of us. And I'm working on figuring that out. So I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I kind of wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I've learned, because I think that what can help me can help a lot of you guys. What can help a lot of you guys can help me. And what can help you guys can help each other. So this is a show today about finding happiness and keeping it. And if you guys have those tips, tricks, advice, questions, comments, concerns, I want to hear them from you. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer in the super chat, in the chat as well. And then I'll talk a little bit about the things that I have discovered. So when I was picking keeping happiness, Glenn says in here, I'd say choosing happiness over and over is the best way to approach things. So the reason I didn't say choosing happiness in here, and Glenn, while that might work for you, and I'm so happy for you that it does, is that I struggle a lot when people say that happiness is a choice. And while I do believe that in life is a series of choices, for people to say happiness is a choice is for them to say that depression is a choice, or sadness is a choice, or circumstances are a choice. And I don't think we can all, it's like those TikToks that I've been seeing when people are like, oh, great, I just found out that I can cure my anxiety by somebody telling me to keep calm. I don't believe that just telling ourselves over and over again to choose happiness is what will make us happy. And I don't think that happiness is always a choice. Just like I don't think that you can always have happiness. But I do think that what's dangerous and what I've been struggling with is these major high and lows, these peaks and valleys. And when you have happiness, if you're able to keep a level of it, maintain happiness in your life, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, then I think that that's the sweet spot. Knowing that you can't be happy all the time, but also knowing that it's not always just a choice. How do you still have happiness? How do you still be a happy person who sometimes struggles? How do you still be a happy person who sometimes suffers with depression? How do you be a happy person who has loss and who has circumstances and situations that affect them in a way that prevents them from feeling happy in specific moments? So there's a few things that I've been looking at. And again, I'm not an expert, just one person. And these are the things that have been helping me and the way that I've been bringing it down. And if you disagree, that is you're entitled to do so. And if you agree, then that's great. And if you haven't thought about it and maybe this helps you in any way, that's fucking cool too. So this is a definite dialogue, not just a monologue. I know I'm the only one speaking, but hopefully you guys contribute and we can have a conversation about this. As I took notes in my notepad as I've been thinking about this week and wanting to talk to you guys about this. So there's really a few different parts of this. And this is why I think the situation and happiness in general is so complicated and complex. There are the things that you can control. There are the things that you can't control. And then there are the things you can kind of control. And I'll go over what that means. The things you can control. You can control what you do in terms of what tasks you can complete in a day. You can control treating your body well for the most part. Every one of these has an exception. Like I would say you can control how much you drink. However, alcoholism is a disease and there are diseases that people struggle with and it's not as easy as just you can control it. So I'm not sitting here and saying that, but you can control the amount of green things that you eat. You can control responding to emails. You can control, there are certain things you can control. There are things you cannot control. You cannot control many diseases that you might have. You cannot control who in your life may or may not die. You cannot control what other people say to you. And then there's the things in the middle that you can kind of control. So for my personal life, an example of that would be like booking jobs. While I can't control whether they hire me or not, I can control how many auditions a week I'm going on or I'm submitting for. While I can't control whether somebody likes me or not, I can control how I speak to them and my actions towards them, which might contribute to whether they do like me or not. So there's that middle ground of things that you can kind of control, can kind of not control. And that's the ground that makes things very difficult. The things we can control, we must control. The things we can't control, we must accept. And the things we can kind of control, we have to do a combination of those two things. And that's a challenging place to be. And I will talk to you guys a little bit about what I'm finding in that middle ground and how I'm dealing with those other two categories, at least when it comes to me. Is any of this resonating with any of you guys? Questions, comments, concerns? Shout out to everybody who is joining this. If you are here right now, it means that you saw how do we find and keep happiness, and you clicked on it, which means that you either have figured it out, and nobody's ever figured anything out fully, but you've found things and you wanted to come share, or you're questioning this yourself and you wanted to learn more, or you're just curious and you're having this conversation. So if you're here right now, shout out to all of you guys: Glenn Caesar, Andrew Thomas, Travis Gilbert, Manny Gonzalez, to B. Lee, my girl Brandy, John Get Bent, Glenn Caesar, Jake Yacovetta, Mohammed Belsin, Katie Robinson, Matt Munoz, French Taunter, Nick Thomas, Ryan Kramer, Ben Chan, ZB, Matt Perillo or Perillo, never corrects me anyway, Gregory Castillo, Greg Pruitt, Evan Hooker, Twinkle Star 86, Leper Madonna, Sally Mercedes, what's up, Sally? To everybody in here live right now, Bruce Banner, hi Bruce, Zozo Hump Tulips, love that handle, brings me a little bit of joy, I'll take it. John Get Bent, and everybody else joining us live right now or after the fact. Thank you for being here. Shout out to all of you guys, and I appreciate you coming to the table today. The table. I guess I'm at a fucking table. I guess I am at a table. Also going to check out the Streamlabs before I continue talking a little bit about this, and hoping that this is helpful for some of you guys, knowing that it will be helpful for me to even just suss some of these things out, talk a little bit about them, and kind of get on the same page and track, although knowing it's also different for every single person, which is the wild thing about happiness as well. All right, Glenn Caesar in the Streamlabs starting us off. The Zenist of Glenn's says, let's see. Hello, Roxy. Happy Thursday. Thanks for choosing to hang out with us all today. See, that was a choice. That was something I could control. Peace, bunnies, hugs, and good stuff to you, your dad, Sky, Jet, Grammy, Papa, and your family. Be most excellent to yourselves and each other, Roxy and Rockstar's band, because you deserve it. Everyone who shows up to give their support whenever, however they can, thank you for being a friendly pillar of strength for the people who are around you. Everyone who's battling, keep on fighting. You're a winner. Everyone for you is a win for all. Roxy and Rockstar's band, I hope you break apart and remove all blockages and constipation physically or energetically by breathing in and out fully and deeply, consistently, and truly mean I love myself, I accept myself, I embrace myself. So you find your balance and be yourself. I hope you find and do what brings you joy, happiness today in each of your days, your weeks, your months, and even your years, so that you smile, laugh out loud like a child, glow in your flow, and radiate because you're a priceless necessity and inspiration of hope. You're fully unique, you're kind, you're caring, and being so unselfishly loving and supportive of others, including strangers, whether it's on the internet or not, makes you humane, worthy, and a bright, shiny star. Your story is important, deserves to be seen and heard. Clarifying my choice comment, I simply mean that a person can't hold on to happiness, any emotion, all the time. By choice, I mean that I'm choosing to do certain activities, prayer, mantra, meditation, dancing, saying yes or no each day to have an emotion. Yeah, Glenn, whenever I say my take on it, I notice that you always clarify or feel the need to clarify or defend. And you don't have to do that. It's okay for me to feel one way or you to feel another way. And if you want to clarify, you're more than welcome to. But to anybody out there, like I said when I started this is I only am speaking about one person's journey, one person's experience. And if you guys are experiencing something different and you do find that happiness is a choice, then and those things are a choice for you, those aspects of it are a choice for you, then that's excellent. And I'm so happy for that. And then all I can speak about is, for me, it doesn't always feel like a choice, and it's what to do in those times where it doesn't. So last night, I've been doing pretty well, and you guys know I came back with this like just extreme joy, and part of that joy comes from the fact that I was getting to live a part of my dream when I was gone, and I worked really hard for something, and I had achieved it, and it had gone well, and I had happiness, and a lot of my happiness is linked to for me personally, my productivity. And I think that's a big problem for a lot of people. But for me, the more I produce, the happier I am with myself. And that's something I will address in a little bit. But I came back, I had done something that I deemed to be a big accomplishment. It brought me joy. And so I had a lot of happiness. Now that I've been back, And I'm working on World Girl stuff, which is going really well. That's bringing me happiness. I'm doing Live at the Roxy every day, talking to you guys again. That's bringing me happiness. I get to see Grammy and Papo again. That's bringing me happiness. But I am back to living alone in my place where I'm inside a lot of the day by myself with my thoughts and my questions and my comments and my inner voice asking, am I doing enough? Am I good enough? Am I going to make it? And by make it, I mean be in a place that I deem to be successful and with a partner or whatever it is. I honestly, right now, am less focused on the partner aspect for the first time in a long time. And that's kind of a nice relief. But for those of you guys who that is where you're at, I totally understand that focus as well. I've been there before too. And so all of those things, I just keep questioning or, asking myself. And so I woke up in the middle of the night kind of feeling that panicky feeling. And I was like, oh no, I've been so happy recently. What's going on? Checking in with myself. And I couldn't figure out where the fuck it was coming from. And so I just kind of let myself lie there and it wasn't working. I wasn't going back to sleep. And so I was like, okay, why don't you just be awake then and just try and breathe through this and work through whatever the fuck it is. And eventually I did. And eventually I fell back asleep. And I still am not exactly sure, but it was kind of when I woke up this morning, I had those pangs in my chest. And I was like, fuck, man, I've really been doing so well. I've been really happy. And why does this happen? Why sometimes when you wake up, does it feel like there's that pressure there and that tightness? So I started looking at the things that I was doing and I'm like, okay, well, I haven't been exercising this week like I had been when I was on set. I've been eating a little more shitty. I have been letting myself go to sleep a little later and later and sleeping in a little later. All of those things I think contribute. I also saw something very bizarre that didn't, like in the moment, didn't click for me, but I looked and I've told you guys oftentimes about the boy that I lost my virginity to, who is like still a friend of mine. I absolutely adore. But he has like a crazy fucking life story and has been an addict for a long time. And, I don't get to actually speak to him that much and whatnot, but I saw on Facebook that he had a baby this month. And I was like, that's so crazy how I'm so disconnected from some people in some areas of my life that I didn't even know that he was having a baby. And so I think that was like making me feel really far from home because he's from back there. And then I realized I don't have anything on the books right now to see I had these things, my brother or my dad or my sister at any point in the future. So just, as you guys know, the spiral kind of starts. And so that's when I started thinking about the things I can control, the things I can't control, and the things that I can kind of control. And I'm sure that you guys know the exact feeling I'm talking about, where it's like not one particular thing is wrong, but all of a sudden, nothing feels good. Nothing is wrong. It's not like one person died or you got one phone call that said this one specific thing, or you got fired, or you lost a bunch of money in the stock market or whatever. It's not one thing, but all of a sudden it's like a wave of uh-oh. And it's like, holy shit, where the fuck that come from? I'm doing good though. Can you chill? I'm doing good. But then it just seeps in from every angle and you're like, am I doing good? What the fuck is happening? And I know that a lot of you guys have felt that before because I think it's a really universal feeling. And so even just identifying that as like, I'm not the first person to ever feel like this. I'm not the first person to feel like this even in the last minute on the planet. This is something that happens with a lot of people all the time. And while it doesn't make me feel better to know a lot of people are suffering, it does make me feel better to know that I'm not fucking crazy. I'm not alone. Anxiety is real, and you can be doing really well, you can be feeling really happy, and you can have a day that doesn't feel fucking right or good. And so, in case you're feeling like that, where like you'll be on a hot streak sometimes and you've strung like 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row where you're feeling good, or 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row where you're feeling good, or 2, 3, 4, 5 months in a row, or years in a row, and you're feeling fucking good. And then all of a sudden one day and you're like, uh-oh, what does this mean? What does this signify? Am I backsliding? What's tomorrow going to look like? And it really has nothing to do with any other day except for that moment. And so how can we identify that for what it is, and then do everything within our power to make sure we minimize those amount of days, but also when we are in those days, we let them happen, we assess them, we address them, and then we just move the fuck forward. So just thinking a little bit about that. I'm going to check in with you guys in the chat, in the Streamlabs, and then again, talk about some of the specific things that I've come up with and the further breakdown of happiness and my thoughts on that. Okay, going into the Streamlabs. Katie the Good Witch, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, I've done pretty much everything in my control to improve my life this summer, but the last week I've been pretty depressed. I've learned if it doesn't have a cause, it also might just not have a solution, and that can be okay. Sadness doesn't have to be a crisis. Katie, I absolutely love what you just shared, because we know firsthand from being on the show, or secondhand, however that works, that you have done everything to improve your life this summer, including changing jobs and careers, working on your finances, figuring out who should be in your life and who should not be in your life. Everything you are doing is about self-betterment. And sometimes that is a journey where when we're growing, when we're kids, they teach us about growing pains, right? And those are physical growing pains. So as your body is growing, sometimes your muscles, your bones, sometimes your body's in a little bit of pain. But growing pains are a concept in general. And as you are becoming the best you that you can be, and you are, especially Katie, with your past, as you have a past that has a lot of layers to it, a lot to unpack and unfold, there's going to be growing pains. And with you knowing that you are moving up and forward and working on yourself, there's sometimes going to be sadness. And not just because of growing and not because of one specific thing, but just sometimes we're sad. And you're right, that doesn't have to be a crisis. That could just be what it is. And remembering that you've been happy before, you will be happy again. And just to make your way through the sadness and not panic about it, not freak out because you are sad, acknowledge it and help yourself in the ways that you know will help, which again, we will speak on. But thank you for sharing that, Katie. And I'm so with you on that. Leonard Kim in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, what's up, Dimple Tits, Roxy? How are you doing today? This won't necessarily work for everyone, but one way I find happiness is to tap into my nostalgia. I'll take myself back to a time when I was younger and had the privilege of having tunnel vision. Okay, this is part 1 of 2, refreshing. Part 2, I was carefree, full of exuberance, and had a naive perspective of the world. Again, this won't work for everyone, but this reminder helps mentally reach a state of zen and bliss, and it usually lingers for hours afterwards. That's really interesting, Leonard Kim. So for me personally, I really try not to go into a place of nostalgia, because I find when I'm living in the past, I am unable to move forward. When I'm living in a time of like the past, I get stuck there. And even when I had happiness in the past, there's no way to achieve the past in the future. You know, I can't bring back my mom, or I can't bring back being in 4th grade or whatever it is. So for me, I always try to focus on the positive things that could be happening in the future. But for you, it sounds like it's not like you're trying to bring back the past. You're just looking for that the things that brought you happiness then, and feeling that feeling again. So something that I do recommend, and maybe this is helpful for you, Leonard Kim, or for other people, is checking into your childhood self and remembering what it is that you loved or wanted to be, and then attempting to do some of those things. So like if when you were younger, you were obsessed with, I don't know, baseball cards, maybe get a pack of baseball cards and open them up, because that might be fun for you. Or if you were younger and you loved doodling and drawing, maybe do a little doodling or drawing or sewing or kicking a soccer ball around. Anything that brought you happiness and joy as a child. It wasn't because you needed to do it to make money, or you needed to do it because the pressure was there. If it brought you happiness as a kid, likely it's just because you like it. And so sometimes doing things that brought you happiness as a kid just for fun can be really nice activities to revisit. Making a fort, or doing a handshake with somebody, or painting your nails, or making popcorn and putting chocolate chips all over it, or watching Little Rascals, whatever it is for you guys. I'm just throwing out ideas, but if it brought you joy then, it might bring you joy now. Apollo through JP in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider says, girl, if I may, from my experience, there is no right way to achieve happiness. It takes effort to rewire your brain. At least for me, it does. But exercise helps, and so does being around Apollo. I'm a good time. Mama shelter tonight. Pull up. Oh my God, that's so funny. I had a friend text me if I wanted to go there tonight. That's not where we ended up deciding, but it is a cool place. Paul, if I ever run into you, that will be the fucking day. Oh my God. But I agree with you, Apollo, which is why I started the show like this. I'm not an expert. I'm not telling you this is how you can get happiness. I am telling you things that have helped me achieve happiness, and things that have helped me through the times that I'm not happy, and how to keep a happy baseline, which is where I'm at right now, which is why even though this morning I was kind of struggling, I implemented some of these things, and I kind of was able to do a little bit of a bounce back today and give myself something to look forward to tonight. Looking forward to something is essential for me, and that might be something that works for you guys too. I decided that I was going to, this morning when I was not well, I was like, okay, what's on the docket for today? What will bring me some joy and happiness today? And let me make sure I have things that I am looking forward to, not just in the future, like months from now. Today, what am I going to do that and you can't always do big things because sometimes you don't have the time. But for me, I was like, okay, it is hot outside. We are still in summertime. You guys know how I feel about being in the sun. So I was like, it is essential that I make 20 minutes today that I am able to be in the sun. At some point between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., I was like, I need to be in the sun for 20 minutes, just kind of zen out, be in the sun. If I want to answer some emails or like look at some social, but for the most part, just listen to music, and for 20 minutes, just feel the sun on my skin. So I made sure I did that today. I did it at 12:15, and it was so helpful for me. Really fucking changed my mood. Now, I'm not saying sunshine is a cure-all, but I am saying for me specifically, I know sun makes me happy. I know being alone in my apartment in the darkness does not. And so I had to get out into the sun. So I put that on my list. Then I also made it so I know tonight I am going to, a girlfriend had asked me to do this weeks ago. And I was like, I don't know, with work or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make time for it. Her and I are going to go grab a beer. We're just going to grab one beer. We're going to do a girls. I haven't told her about the movie yet. She's had a lot of things going on at work. And so we just wanted to catch up, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to meet up with my girlfriend, and we're going to grab a beer, and I'm fucking stoked about that. Maybe 2 beers, but like, don't want to do more than that, because as I've told you guys, what you put in your body really matters. And during time periods when you're not feeling well, to over medicate yourself with alcohol really is not helpful for me. It's not helpful for any of us. And so grabbing 1 or 2 beers, I feel really good about. And so, yes, I'm excited to go see her. And so I put those things on the thing, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then when I get home, I've got some Big Brother to watch. So those were things that I literally thought about and was like, oh, those are fucking fun things. I want to do those things. Those things sound good to me. I'm not feeling great today, so I'm going to put those in. And just making kind of a game plan of my day and putting things on that bring me happiness, that was exciting for me. And it kind of changed around how I was feeling. Those are what I call quick fixes. They give you these bursts of happiness in the moment. They are not permanent solutions for people who are depressed or not doing well, but sometimes our bodies and souls can't take being sad for too long. Otherwise, it just starts to fucking hurt so bad. And so sometimes those little quick fixes are really nice. Not quick fixes like shooting fucking heroin. That's a quick fix that's really dangerous for you. But a quick fix like a half-hour TV show that brings you joy, or a quick fix like being outside or going to the beach really quickly for a half hour if you live near one, or just being in the sun. Like, those are quick fixes that boost your endorphins and can be really beneficial, just not being in that state of depression or sadness for a brief moment. And I recommend that everybody in a notepad keep a list of quick fixes. So fixes that are good for any weather, any place, any amount of money that you guys have. So you can have quick fixes that are, if you're doing well, you're like, okay, I buy a new pair of shoes and that makes me feel happy. Or quick fixes like, I watch this YouTube video because this always makes me fucking laugh. Or a quick fix like, I am going to have peanut butter, banana, and chocolate because it makes me feel like I'm at summer camp again, or whatever. Like, just have a list of quick fixes that you can do that bring you a little bit of joy in that moment. That's not a permanent solution, but just in case you are in that place where you're like, I just need to feel happiness for 1 second, so that you don't do something that is a quick fix that is detrimental to your health, like drugs, or, like fucking random people and not using protection, or there's a lot of different things that we do when we just want to find happiness so bad that end up being really not good for our bodies and our system. So you want some healthy quick fixes that you can do on the cheap or whatever, no matter where you are. And hopefully that's a good little tip for you guys. I have some more ones like that. Also in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, John Lestrina in here says, we got some rough times ahead, but we're going to be okay because we're family. John Lestrina for the win every time. Honestly, John Lestrina is a quick fix for me. Like, every super chat he sends in brings me joy. It's just so fucking true. Just really into John Lestrina's chats. Apollo 3JP in the Streamlabs says, when we run into each other, not if, girl, when, you'll be smitten, bet. Apollo, smitten? Guys, what do we do? So, Apollo, let me just get this right. Is your plan for me to run into you, be smitten with you, and you want to break my heart for my best friend? Because Team Steez. Just, is that the plan? Is that what you're hoping? Will that bring you happiness? Also in the Streamlabs, another person who brings me such joy, Lady Dog Brandy, who I know has been happy recently. It's bringing me when my people are happy, I'm stoked for them. So Lady Dog Brandy says, hey, love, I've been trying to find my happiness. You all have seen me in the dark since finding out I was losing my dad and then losing my dad, but I'm slowly coming out. I've had people show me lately that I deserve happiness, and I'm trying my best. Brandy, we've been on quite the journey together because we've been together for a long time now, and I am so happy that I have been part of a community and created part of a community where you found such awesome friends and people. And so I hope that this place has brought you happiness. And to everybody in here, the people I see right now, Gregory and Ryan and Third Turd and Matt and John Bainbridge and Glenn and Jared and everybody in here right now. Like, I hope that this place has brought you some happiness and friendship and at least a place to feel less alone, which brings happiness. And Sally, who just said, Brandy, you're the bomb. Well, Sally, you're the bomb. I appreciate you guys a lot, and I know you appreciate each other. So, yeah. Keep Streamlabsing in, keep chatting in, keep super chatting in. Let me know your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns on some of the stuff that we're talking about today. Oh, no. Oh, man, can you guys still hear me? The fucking camera turned off. All right, hold on. Hold up. Wait a minute. If you can hear me. I wonder why. It hasn't done that in so long. Huh. Who knows? Who knows what happened? Jared said, yeah, it's all right. Twinkle Star said, you really helped during quarantine and isolated. Thanks. You guys helped me. Oh, yeah, you could hear me. You just couldn't see me. I don't know why. It hadn't done that in forever. Maybe it's because the AC turned off. Who the fuck knows? It's a hot-ass day here. It's like 90-something degrees, so hopefully I'm back and better than ever. Back in action, baby. Okay, a few other things that I wanted to go over. And again, send in your questions, comments, concerns, and thoughts. Here are just some things that have been really important to me recently when it comes to my happiness. I need to be extremely careful who I hang around right now. And a lot of you guys do too, especially if you are an empath. So I know a lot of people throw this term around, so they're an empath or whatever it is. But for me, I feel other people's feelings so deeply. I'm an actress. It is my job to be able to identify how other people are feeling and be able to process how they're feeling and be able to emote how they're feeling. And that is something that I've been able to do my entire life. And at this point, it's so second nature to me that if somebody in a room is so upset, I am upset because I hate seeing that for people and I hate feeling that for people. And so right now, as I have this happiness, I feel like I've got this like lightning in a bottle moment and I've got joy in my life for the first time in a long time. And that means that I need to protect that. And it doesn't mean that I can't share that because I want to spread happiness everywhere. But there's only a certain amount of time that I can be with people right now who are really, really not in good places. And that's not me doing that to be selfish. And I can still protect and help and be with my friends and really support them because a lot of people are struggling right now. But something I notice is that I have a cap for that. So if I'm with somebody who is really struggling and asking and looking for my help, then I can give them an hour of my time to really try to game plan. And if they're really looking for help and really try to work it out. And then after that, I need to go back home, do one of my fixes, focus on self-love, which like might mean working out, eating well, checking in with myself and protect myself and my energy. And that way I can stay in this place, which is going to be more beneficial for them in the long run. And I can continue to provide them help and support throughout the weeks or months or whatever it is. But when I just stay and spiral and circle in other people's darkness, I end up in the darkness. And so for you guys who are empaths, I'm not saying to abandon any of your friendships or to not relate to your friends or advise them or support them or whatever it is. But I am saying that make sure that you also are hanging around positive people as well. People who are in good places, people who bring you happiness and joy, and people who are, and when you're around the people who aren't doing that, that you keep those interactions limited. And afterwards, you make sure you check in with yourself and do something that might bring you happiness or joy. That's not exactly what empathy is, Joseph. Empathy is what sympathy is, except for not just sympathizing with them, but being able to actually relate and empathize with where they're at too. So, you know, you can empathize with somebody who's been through a similar situation as you, because you have been there and felt that as well. So it's a little bit different, but for the most part, yeah, being an empath and being an empathetic person, they're all in a very similar family. Sally says, I've mastered the art of boundaries for this exact reason. It's really important because for the same reason why they say when you're on an airplane that you need to put on your own mask before putting on the mask of the person next to you, you need to be able to be well in order to help people be well. And so you have to protect your energy and your space. And that's something that I'm finding is right now, as I am in this positive place, I need to be very cognizant of who it is that I'm letting into my life, and who it is that I am supporting and speaking to and spending the majority of my time with right now. Luckily, Dorina and Steph are the most incredible, awesome, positive, great forces. So spending time with them has been great. Sally says empathetic versus empathetic, slightly different words for fairly different things. Empathetic. I think you wrote the same words. I think you wrote empathetic twice. But you tell me. A couple other things that I have noticed that I'm looking at. I know this is the one that nobody wants to hear. And I know a lot of you guys struggle with this, as I have in the past and continue to all the time too. But you really need to look at what's going in your body. And I know that that's going to cause a lot of you guys to roll your eyes and a lot of you guys to be frustrated and think it's not about that though. But what is entering your body fucking matters. That's when it comes to substances. That's when it comes to food. Sally said empathic and empathetic. Sorry, my bad, Sally. Totally. I'm with you now. What enters your body makes a difference. And so when you are eating all processed foods and you are not getting the right nutrients, or you are not eating enough and you are partially starving yourself, or when you're eating too much and your body's having a hard time processing the amount of food, or when you're not, when you're drinking all the time, and instead of having one night a week or 2 nights a week where you're putting a depressant into your body, 7 nights a week you're putting a depressant into your body. So, whether that's alcohol or substances, all of these things, what you are putting into your body, and this isn't going to be a whole show on this, so I won't harp on this for much longer, but take a look at what it is you're putting into your body, because it makes a difference. And if you are doing everything you can, if you say you're doing everything you can to achieve happiness, what you put into your body matters. How much water you're drinking and clearing out your body versus how much beer you're drinking and adding a depressant into your system versus how much processed sugar that you're taking in versus how much broccoli, like these things, they make a difference. And there is a reason there are things that are better for us or worse for us. I'm not sitting here saying never drink the beer unless that's something, a life choice that you've needed to make. And I'm not sitting here saying never have that cookie, because obviously all things are relative. But check out what you're putting into your body and test things to see how it makes you feel. Go a week without having, or even like string 5 days together, right? Without drinking any booze. See if you feel better than when you drink. I know it's day by day for a lot of these things. Or go a week where you have, instead of having Hot Pockets for dinner, you have chicken and broccoli or something along those lines. Check in with yourself. See what it is you're putting in your body. It's really fucking important for your happiness and your well-being. Also, take a look at how much time you're spending in what I call the darkness. The darkness is like what I talked about today. I've been in my apartment alone. I haven't left. I didn't go to the grocery store. I haven't run to my P.O. box. I haven't left my apartment. So that's why I decided today, 20 minutes, I need to fucking be outside. How long are you spending in the darkness at once? If you live by yourself, you can't go days without seeing a person. If you live with other people, you don't want to go for hours. If you don't have a job right now, you don't want to just sleep in until 1 too, and then not fucking do something with your day. We got to look at how much time we're spending in the darkness versus how much time we're spending in the light. The light might mean going on a walk outside or sitting in the sun or meeting up with a friend for coffee. How much time are you spending in the darkness, and making sure we are minimizing that amount of time? I talked to you guys about the little cheats, the developing little cheats, whether that's watching Real Housewives or spending time at the beach or any of those things that bring you immediate happiness, which is important. And figuring out, I talked a little bit about productivity. So I judge myself a lot on productivity, but that's not always something that I can control because I'm not always booking, because I can partially control how much I'm auditioning, but not how much I'm getting cast. And so I can't control how many movies I'm in a year. So if I judge myself based on something that I cannot completely control, then I'm going to be really struggling. One of the guys that's in the movie with me, he was talking to me a lot about how he used to judge himself based on productivity. And then he started on Saturdays working at a food bank, and it changed his view of himself so much, because instead of judging himself based on how much he was producing, he judged himself as who he is as a person, who he is in his soul, and how many people he's helping and what he's doing for the world. And I've really tried to start looking at that. And for you guys too, instead of judging yourself on what you do, how much money you make, what your job is, what your status in society is, trying to judge ourselves on who am I as a person? Who have I helped? How have I contributed to my community? And then doing things to make you feel good about yourself while also helping other people is one of the greatest ways to feel more happiness during this time, especially because right now I'm not in a movie. So I can't find my happiness from being in a movie because I'm not currently in a fucking movie. So I need to remember I am good, I am enough, and then do things that make me feel that way, like volunteering, like helping out my friends, like doing this show and having conversations like these and us bouncing things off of each other. All of that stuff. Gregory Castillo, that 25 pumps of lotion after a shower turned me into a new man. That was another friend from the shoot. But yeah, she got some smooth skin. That's the truth. Send in questions, comments, concerns, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Let's see what's going on in here right now. Katie Goodwitch says, quick fixes are super helpful. I have a playlist of intense movie/TV moments that help snap me out of whatever emotional hole I'm stuck in. Quick fixes don't get you to shore, but they get your head above water so you can figure out which way to swim. Katie, that is, God, you are so poetic, and that is the exact way to describe it. I'm not sitting here saying that quick fixes are going to make it so that you are all of a sudden fucking happy for life. But sometimes when you are drowning, people forget the value of a quick fix, because you sometimes don't even know which direction to swim because you are so fucking underwater. So to have these things, these quick fixes, and I'm not kidding you guys, spend 5 minutes today making a list of 10 things in your phone that are these quick fixes for you. And you know, every time you do this, you get a little bit of endorphins, you get a little bit of happiness, whether that is like doing 50 jumping jacks or going and grabbing yourself a cup of coffee or opening a pack of Pokemon cards. What the fuck did I just say? Yeah, sure, she said it. Or watching silly YouTube videos, whatever it is, like make this list so that when you are feeling your darkest, you can force yourself to open up the list and pick one of the fucking things to do it so you can just feel a moment of light so you know which direction to swim. Katie, absolutely that. Absolutely that. I really, really appreciate that you just sent that in. Glenn Caesar says, Roxy, I'm always choosing to clarify my statements for several reasons. Firstly, I know that words have power and don't want any of mine to misconstrue my words, anyone to misconstrue my words. Second, I'm a teacher, meditation and otherwise, for 19 plus years, and know that people have unique perspectives. Totally, Glenn. Leonard Kim in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, something else that helps me is to be grateful for what I have and not fixate on what I don't have. It goes a long way to be reminded that while I may still wish for XYZ, I still have plenty in my life that brings me happiness. Again, not for everyone. No, Leonard Kim, that's a big one. Gratitude, practicing gratitude is so essential. Oftentimes when I'm feeling like bitchy or bratty or sad or whatever, I'll make a list of 5, 10 things that I'm super fucking grateful for, and that's very helpful for me. Leonard Kim also says, I'm sure Dorina would approve of this. Masturbation is a great way to achieve happiness. Got to practice self-care. Totally. On your quick fixes, masturbating might be on there. And, sometimes, hey, it's not too shabby. Movie Fan Z says, hello, Roxy. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks, Movie Fan Z. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate the love and support. Yeah, you rock. Thank you so much for that. Going into the Streamlabs, let me know, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Send questions, comments, concerns. We are going to be getting out of here relatively soon. I'm just checking my list of things that I want to talk to you guys about. Oh, this is a tough one. As I've been telling you, I've been struggling with this a little bit, but stepping away from the news. When you are in a place of extreme depression, while it's important to know what's going on in the world, it is also okay to grant yourself a couple of days in which you are not constantly checking what is going on. That might just help with extreme. Sometimes I feel the darkness of everything around me so much that it is impossible to help. And I can't be the light for anybody. I can't do anything positive if I'm in that place. So stepping away from the news sometimes can be really important. And I'm not saying forever. And I'm not saying bury your head in the sand always. But stepping away is really, really important. Setting goals for the things that you can control, that long-term will bring you happiness, not the quick fixes, the real things that will bring you long-term happiness, like excelling at your job if you love your job and that's part of your dream, or having a family if that's something you've always wanted, or whatever it is, any of those things. Set daily, weekly, monthly goals that might help you do that. So, if what you really want in the long run is you want to have a husband or a wife or a partner, and maybe you want children, set goals. Maybe that's, I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day on Hinge, or I don't know if that's still an app anymore, but Bumble or whatever the popular apps are. Or I'm going to go out for drinks with one of my friends this week and be open to the possibility of giving out my number. Or I'm going to ask out one person or ask a friend of mine to this month. I'm going to reach out to 2 friends and ask them if they have anybody that they want to set me up with. Whatever it is, whatever your long-term goals are, making shorter-term goals to try to help accomplish those things so that you can control the things that you can partially control or can control. Those are things that make me feel happier when I'm like, okay, this week I am going to submit for 10 TV shows or movies, self-submit. Those are things I can control, and then whatever happens from there, I can't control, but I'm going to submit for these things. Or I'm going to put myself on tape with these 2 monologues just to stay practiced. So those things always bring me not just they're not quick fixes. When you set goals like that, those are for your life, the way you live, your lifestyle, not just for that day. And those have been helpful for me. Any other last minute question, comments, concerns, tips, or tricks that you guys have learned? Thank you guys so much for everybody who did decide to share today, for you guys in the chat, for you guys in the Streamlabs, for you guys in the super chat and everywhere else. I appreciate you guys being willing to talk about happiness. Pink Sweets in the house in the Streamlabs says, oh, hi. Well, most of you know I'm not good with keeping happy. I've tried scary things in the past to end my sadness. Personally, my biggest problem is comparing myself to others. What I've learned is comparing my behind the scenes to their highlights, their highlight reel. Interesting. That's what social media is. I still have time to be who I want to be, but I have to start now. I'm also learning that contentment is enough. I'm learning to that contentment is enough. Oh, like being content is enough. I am mostly just doing okay, and that is fine. I don't need to be giddy all the time. Not being sad is happy. Just got to keep up. I like a lot of what you're saying here, Pink Sweets. And I think that when we have moments of happiness, just even marking them as that so we know that they are possible. And so in our moments of sadness, we don't think that happiness is impossible or it doesn't exist is so key. Being content. Sometimes you don't have to feel like your soul is lit on fire just to be okay. And your baseline might be just being okay, which means like living a day-to-day life that is okay. But I don't think that we need to say, or maybe this works for you, but not being sad is happy. I think that there is more. And I don't think that that's something that you need to know or feel right now. And not being sad is a great place to be and start. But also, happiness is available for you, Pink Sweets. And I know that. And so making sure that we don't confuse like just not being sad with the joy that could be and will be. And I know that. And so I agree the comparison thing is tough. We all do it, but you are comparing to a highlight reel. And doing okay is fine. You are right. But also happiness is great and it is out there. And keeping that hope and belief and dreams and all of those things so that we have things to fight for and work towards and not just stay in a place where we're fine all the time and keep continuing self-betterment and all the things that you're already doing, Pink Sweets. So I love you for sharing that. And thank you for letting us in a little window into Pink Sweet's soul. Leonard Kim says, I don't mean to contradict what you previously, but a cheat meal goes a long way, especially if you've got it planned and you're anticipating it, if you're eating relatively healthy, or in my case, tracking macros. Cheat meals are everything. That's exactly what I'm talking about, though, Leonard Kim. Like, that's not contradicting when I said, you should be able to. I fucking love cheat meals. I don't even call them that because I never diet, because I just try to eat healthy 80% of the time. But yes, that might be a quick fix for some people. It just can't be a quick fix every single meal. French Taunter says, cheers, Roxy. The greatest thinkers of history have tried and failed to understand happiness. Don't beat yourself up if it seems confusing. It is. That's so true, French Taunter. That's why I said I'm certainly not an expert. I'm one of you guys. I'm working on it every day. And I think I'm doing okay with it right now. I'm doing some of the best that I've done in a long time. And a lot of that is because of you guys and your ability to help me with all of these things. So I appreciate you. All right, we are going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today live at the Roxy. A couple things that bring all of us happiness, as I've told you guys about. Make your bed. It's a big one that brought me a lot of happiness. It might bring you happiness too. Just try it. Put down the toilet seat and lid. We don't want those paflumes. Check your internet. You can do so by blowing on it. Brett Miles Jonathan, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. Don't trend with the Holocaust. That will bring me a lot of happiness if people stop doing it. Figure out your quick fixes. Make that list for you guys. And I will be back here tomorrow live at the Roxy. Only Stupid Answers is in the morning, then live at the Roxy at 1. And I can't wait to see you guys then. Until then, stay safe, stay sane. Much love, and I'll see you tomorrow. Later.